Hi guys, my name's Clint. I'm owner of the Bootlegger Brewery and Bootlegger Homebrew Shop. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about brewing beer, how to get into the process, you know, and hopefully get you guys started on a nice, interesting hobby. I've been brewing for about 9 years now. Just started out as a simple hobby to keep myself busy at home, to enjoy some good beer, and it developed into quite a passion and my career. When I got into brewing, it was more with extract kits, which is likened to mixing some Oros, adding some yeast, and boom, you've got beer a couple of weeks later. But as you get into it, I got more fascinated with the history of beer, the history of brewing, the processes, how it was discovered. It's quite an interesting story in terms of how beer was made back in the day. The original brewers weren't actually men, they were women. And they were called brewsters. So what they would do is they would use the grains that we use, all grain, and the liquid that came from mashing that, because you're extracting sugars from roasted barley, the liquid that came from that they would discard, and it would start fermenting with wild yeast outside, and hence they discovered the process of brewing and how those sugars convert into alcohol by using the yeast. Basic equipment is quite cheap, and which makes it quite an affordable and easy hobby to get into. You can always start off getting a starter kit, which they range from say 900 to 3 grand. 900 for the basic equipment, and then your extract kits, which you look at anywhere from 300 to 600 depending on which beer you want to brew. If you go into all grain, you're looking at 150 to 300 rand. You can do a partial mash, which is quite easy to do at home with very little equipment. You can use a lot of your home equipment, your kitchen equipment that you have at home. There's also a bit of a perception that it can be an expensive hobby, but it's not at all. In fact, it actually works out a hell of a lot cheaper than going to go buy your beers at the shop. You're using very basic equipment, white buckets, pots that you already have at home that you're using for cooking, but it is a very cheap hobby to have. You can work out literally down to about 10 rand a litre for good quality craft beer, and obviously depending on what you use, you can up that, but I tend to be a little bit more expensive. I like my hops, I like my hoppy beers, but yeah. Space-wise, it's also something that, you just sit with a bucket. So the bucket just sits there, and it's actually quite an interesting process to see happen. You hear the bubbling, you can smell the beer, you can smell the hops. It's not intrusive in any way, but you need very little space. You don't need a special room or a man cave or anything to do it. It's just a very simple, small space that's needed. Process of brewing is it's a great thing. Me and my wife do it quite often together. She loves getting involved in the process. Smelling the hops. She knows more about beer brewing now than most guys I know, and that's purely just from being a part of the process at home. But it's a nice process. It's like it takes about 6 hours at home, and it's an all-day thing, and everybody gets involved. Even my little one is interested in the process, and it's a great thing. We even had a school teacher come in and buy some ingredients the other day, because she's doing the beer brewing process for them at the school to show them how it's done, and it teaches you a lot about fermentation and the process that goes into it. It's a great hobby to have. You appreciate it. It's a wonderful thing to share with friends. Although when my friends come over and they don't appreciate it, I just keep a couple of Castle Lights in the back. Let them rather drink those, and I'll appreciate my good beers. Not only is the beer great, it's yours, which is always better than going to a shop and buying a standard SAB beer. Then you start to realize how crap the beer actually is out there in the market, which is why the craft industry's taken off so much. It's available here at the Bootlegger, yes. We help everybody right from the newbie brewer right through to master brewers. So anybody, whatever you're looking for, hops, grains, everything, we can help you out. Plus we also offer a nice tutorial experience. So I like to introduce people into the hobby the right way, because it can be time consuming, and if you don't get it right, it can be very disheartening to have off beer. But having said that, if you do it right from the start and you do it properly, it's fantastic, and I'm here to help. I always encourage samples from our customers, just to make sure that they know what they're doing. So yeah. The Bootlegger Homebrew Shop, we're situated at Paragat Centre here in George. Our details, you can have a look at our website, bootlegger.co.za. And please, get hold of me if you've got any questions, if you want to understand the process a little bit more. I'm happy to talk beer anytime. So knock on my door, come through, come see me. So it was an interesting thing that, the women were the first brewers, and it's something I encourage today as well, as to get a lot of ladies brewing. They tend to have a far more accurate and intricate way about brewing, much like they do with the cooking. But I'm not saying they should be, in the kitchen. That's not what I'm saying. It's just it's a nice thing for your husband if you can brew your own beer.